Hi, and welcome back. My name is Don Saunders. Many of you have joined us before. I'm the narrator of the knowledge, which provides the power of knowing how life works. And that's quite a mouthful. But what we're going to do today is I'm going to point out a few people that are utilizing the knowledge in ways that you may or may not accept, but they exist. We're going to talk about them. We did a video a while back on the people that you are familiar with that received the knowledge. They just never called it that. But they're going to be seen and talked about in the videos we've done in the past. This time around, we're going to talk about a few people that's going to be controversial. And I was a little reluctant about even bringing them up because the controversy around them is as equal to the information that they provide for humanity. And what I mean by that is that there are a lot of people in the world sharing information with you that they've used the same way the process unfolds around how the knowledge works, because it's a fundamental message that I'm trying to deliver to you, in that we are surrounded by information. And these people that we're going to talk about just for a few seconds are the people that are tapping into what I've referred to in the past as the universal consciousness. And they're sharing those messages with you. And here's a few names. Edgar Cayce is one of them. Dolores Cannon is another. There's people out there. John Edwards is another one. I'm trying to remember all of their names because there's hundreds of them. But John Edwards, the psychic, not John Edwards, the politician. And then, of course, you have the Hicks. And what they were delivering was information, and they used Abraham to provide the information. All of these people that we're talking about, we're all tapping into the universal consciousness. And I'm going to tell you that I'm well aware that the skeptics and the critics will say, oh my gosh, where's he going with this one? But the fact is that when someone is focused and when someone believes in how this all works, they're able to tap into this general information that surrounds all of us. Now, what does that have to do with the knowledge? The fact is that I'm trying to share with you how life works. And everything that these people were doing, including all of the people that had near-death experiences, were tapping into the source of all thoughts, feelings, beliefs, emotions, knowledge, and information. So they're tapping into this source. These psychics and the mediums that are so controversial, they're doing the same exact thing. The difference now is that science is proving the quantum field that these people are tapping into. And if you read the scientific documentaries and papers, you're going to start to question your own self about why we even questioned what they were doing in the first place. Because all of the things that are being shown to us now scientifically fit directly into how it all works. Quantum mechanics, basically a particle entanglement. All of those words that I've used that you've said, oh my gosh, where is he going with all of this? They all fit together carefully. The things about relationships and how technology is going to affect everything, it's all interrelated. And the reason I almost didn't talk about this, because I don't want to stir up controversies, is because people have not believed nor understood how life works. Now, let me cover a big topic. I've done it before, but I'm going to make sure that we understand it now. That information that we're receiving has been accumulated through hundreds of years of people thinking and then passing it back into the consciousness, including God. And the reason I need to state that to you is because even though we have large groups of people believing in God, we have separation. And that separation started originally from where we all came from. We separated from the source. And now we're fighting constantly to try to get back to that original belief, the master frequency, if you will, where not only do we all believe the same, but we accept each other in unity. And if I can just get the message across, and I'm going to tell you, it's complicated. It's hard in today's noise to sort through all of the different belief systems and still be able to get you a message that's not political and it's not religious. You'd think it's impossible, but the thing that keeps me going, quite honestly, is that was the insights that came along when the knowledge downloaded 15 years ago. Just basically said, Don, stick with it. The right people will come along, and they have. The guy that helps me with this video, for example, I mean, he lives a block and a half from me, and he's helping me with the messaging. But we both understand that because of the volume of information out there on YouTube, that this may or may not function immediately. So we've come to accept that. So we just keep working. We keep shooting videos. But all of those people that I mentioned, I want to just go back a second to all of those people like Edgar Cayce and Dolores Cannon and Esther Hicks. They all had a platform where they were trying to share with you information that they found from the universal consciousness. And if you think this is wacky and crazy, ask yourself the question, why have they not discovered what dark energy is? They're saying that dark energy is 70 or 75% of the surrounding areas. Let's call it the universe. I call it the universal because it's universal to everyone. But if by chance you were stopping to think, why can't they measure dark energy? It's because dark energy is consciousness. And we've talked about that in previous videos. So if they once discover how to measure that, they're going to learn how to measure consciousness. And I will tell you, up to this point, scientifically, everybody would say, well, that's not possible. Consciousness comes from the mind. But they're discovering it's not. So that's another step in the right direction. There's a shift going on that I can't not mention it in every video, because that shift is the awareness of how life works. It's the awareness and the shift in universal consciousness. And all of the information that has been put into this universal consciousness, we all can tap into. And that's where the issues, and that's where the separation comes from, in the fact that because this database is loaded with information, you get the chance to tap into it and create your reality. And I know I've repeated this before in other videos, but the fact is that because this database is so complex, you never really know until you start to focus and observe what your reality is going to be like. And then once you tap into a particular genre of your life, you basically don't know, and that's what the early years, the stage one of life is just learning what you're going to follow. But once you tap into it, because of quantum entanglement, you draw to you all of the information that's in that database, which creates your reality and your life and your future. And then pretty soon you start to say, okay, well, this must be my purpose in life. Your purpose in life, make no mistake, is to learn what to do and what not to do as you're continue on your journey of those 100 years we call life. But just remember that that database that surrounds us is eternal, and it just keeps accumulating information and accumulating more information. And all of the information, this is a fun part, so stick with me, all of the information that we've poured into that universal consciousness gets cleaned up in the black holes, because we start to change the energy thoughts, and all of the garbage goes into these black holes so that we don't keep tapping into it. That's how it evolves. It takes thousands and maybe billions of years to cleanse a thought process. But when they go into the black holes, then everything starts to change, because there's more new information going into the universal consciousness that the young people can tap into than there is the old dogma that we've created. Now, I know I got a little heavy there, but the reality is just look at it this way. You've got a stack of information over here to draw from, and you've got a trash can that you can take old information and toss that information into a trash can. And then the next people that use that information, the youth of today, are going to have fresh new ideas to draw from. And those ideas are accumulative. In other words, not just me putting information in, but everybody putting information in. The universal consciousness is built on all of the realities of humanity that exist today, and also the realities of people that existed 200 years ago. And now what we're doing is we're purging those old files, and new information is coming. And if you're tuned in, if you want to learn what's happening in the world, you just look at some of that new information that's coming, because science is proving there is a quantum mechanics, there's a quantum field that exists that we've never talked about before, never heard. In fact, I will say that probably at least 90%, maybe higher, of the people, when I say the word quantum, shut off, because they don't know what quantum is. What are you talking about? You're talking about small particles, quirks, all of the things that science uses. I'm just going to ask you to start being aware that there is a shift going on. And the more you're aware of that shift, the more you're going to ask questions. And I've, in earlier videos, given you 4 questions to answer or to ask, along with what the problems are that they'll solve. But the real question is, what is the missing piece of this humanity puzzle? That missing piece is simply awareness. And I repeat it over and over again because I have to, because every time I do a video, I look to see how many people are listening. And I scratch my head, because I say to myself, how can they not be understanding what I'm trying to share with them? This is not philosophy. It's not my theory of anything. It's how it all works. And all of those psychics and mediums that you discounted, that you didn't listen to in the first place, they're already utilizing the process of how this all works. They're tapping into the universal consciousness, and then all of a sudden, they get answers. So go ahead and look at some of those people. Look at Edgar Cayce. Look at Dolores Cannon. You can shake your head. You can say, oh, this guy's off the wall again. But I'm not. They were able to utilize the information, not to be confused with the original messengers that received the knowledge. These people I'm talking about tapped into the knowledge. So let's have some fun with that. For right now, I think that's enough. My name is Don Saunders. Please follow us on the videos that are coming up. Share with friends. Do whatever we need to do in order to make this a part of people's understanding of how life works. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you.